everyone, welcome to Freedom Homestead. My name is Tangi.
I'm Anna.
And today we are hanging out in the pantry. You guys, Anna's no stranger to you all. She has been a friend. We've known each other a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly 1 year. And we've done Beyond Labels book club together, so y'all have seen her on that. Of course, she's in the chats during the live streams. And yeah, we've become really good friends over the year. It's one of those things where, you know, sometimes you just meet someone and you just click.
That was definitely, it was like super instant. Like the second we started talking, we were just like, okay, we're going to be friends.
Yeah. Would you become best friends just now?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk.
Yes.
Some of the things that we have in common is that we both homestead, and we both like to can our own food. So how long have you been canning?
I've been canning for about 4 years. I think right around 4 years. Yeah, it was right before I started my channel. I finally conquered my fear. I've had a canner for about 6 years, but I'm chicken and I was a scaredy cat, so I didn't start actually using it until about 2 years in.
Me, exactly.
Yeah.
My mom got me a canner. I had already been water bath canning, but I hadn't taken that extra step, and so my mom bought herself a pressure canner, and she went ahead and got me one too. It sat in the garage for 2 years before I finally was like, okay, I know so many people that can. No one has died yet, so how bad can it be?
Yeah,
but
that's kind of what I water bath canned once. And it was blackberry jam long before I had any interest in anything. It was just, I wanted to do it. And I never put it on the pantry shelf. I put it in the fridge.
Really? Even if you canned it? Oh,
I canned it and put it in the fridge. And I don't know if we ever actually ate it. Like, it was like one of those super random things that I just did one day. I don't know why I did it. And it's just, And then like, I was scared out of my mind when I first did it, and the only reason I did it was because my husband helped me. He had done it on his own a couple of times. Like, this was when we were first dating, and then once we actually got married, I finally just got the courage. I was like, I want to do this, and he's like, okay, you know, and somehow it ended up that he was going to help me, and we were going to do it. And then I was so scared. We had this island. It was in the place where I first started filming videos, and we had this. It was like a galley style kitchen with a big open window. And so I set it on there, and I literally sat behind this wall, and there was like a pillar, and I would just go like this, and I would go back to my crocheting and start for like the first like 4 times. And then finally I got used to it, and I got comfortable with it, and I was okay with it. But like I was terrified when I first started. So
same thing. The first time that I pressure canned, I made the kids get out of the kitchen. I was like, run!
It might explode. Go!
Yeah. So what was the very first thing you pressure canned?
Chicken.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, you just went for the gusto.
I sure did. I had chicken and I needed to can it.
Nice.
What about you?
The first thing I pressure canned was beans, and the first thing I water bath canned was salsa.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beans, I think, was one of the second things I canned. And I became obsessed with trying to figure out how to can beans that were not like cracked. And so I tried, that was 2017 and 2016. So that's when I first started canning. So it was actually 5 or 6 years ago. And I just remember, I'm seeing the dates on the lids that we still have.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
And we still eat them, so don't even stress it. Like, it don't matter. If you got a seal and it's sealed properly, you can keep using it. It might not be as healthful, and it might be a little soggy. Oh, puppy. But you can still use it. And so I obsessively tried everything. I tried with salt, without salt. I tried soaking it, not soaking it, dry canning it. I tried pre-cooking it. I tried all of the different things. And the conclusion I came to is that I'm not going to do it. And I would go on to others. And this was actually the first time I made a comment on anybody's channel. And it was the Needy Homesteaders bean canning video. And I was like, how do you get the beans to cook and not crack? Because hers looks so beautiful in the jar. And I mean, obviously she didn't reply at that time, but it was just like I was trying to figure it out, and I never did.
I've just started canning potatoes, and I've noticed that a lot of people would get a lot of starch buildup, that it almost looked like jars of lard. And I was like, how do you prevent that from happening? And so I've learned that soaking and getting as much of the starch off as possible. And I actually raw packed my potatoes, and I don't have that, all the cloudiness, but I think it's because I soaked them. I mean, I literally soaked them overnight. I cut them up, put them in the water, soaked them in, then poured it off, covered them with water again, and put them in the fridge, and then let it sit overnight. And I mean, they look, see,
they do. They look beautiful. Yeah. But you know that you can also use that starch in cooking and like thickeners and stuff. So.
Yeah, I actually had thought about that because we just went camping, and I took a jar of potatoes, and I thought, you know, if I wanted to do like a potato soup, I could just reserve some of that liquid, and that would be my thickening agent.
It won't really matter.
Yeah, when I did the soaking, because I canned russet potatoes, there was that thick white. It was almost like a paste that was down at the bottom.
Exactly,
so,
it gets really thick with the russets.
Yeah,
I always try and can the yellow potatoes. Those ones tend to have less starch, I found. But if you're wanting to multi-purpose, then russets are perfect.
Definitely multi-purpose. Yeah, that actually can roll into what we wanted to talk about, which is ways that you can save money and your health
in the kitchen.
Yep. And I think this is a good conversation to have because, you know, again, with supply chain issues and food shortages that we've been seeing, we need to squeeze as much out of our food supply as we can. Both, how can we squeeze as much money out of our food, and how much can we benefit our family by eating healthy, nutritious food.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you are trying to actually save money and to budget and things like that, it can be really easy to go the super cheap route and get the prepackaged box foods that, you know, maybe like the hamburger helpers and you know, things like that, and or maybe like the tuna helpers is probably cheaper because you don't have to buy the ground beef. But you don't have to sacrifice your health in order to preserve your budget. Like there's all different kinds of things that you can do, like buying bulk beans and then you're just cooking those, and then you're eating more beans instead of eating, you know, the prepackaged pastas and stuff like that. You know, and so that way you're saving a lot of money, and then and you know, you can prepare them properly. I think you were saying last night, if you love your family, you'll soak your beans.
Yes, we were talking about that. Where that came from is I actually just canned a bunch of chili beans, and I had originally intended to soak them and then can them, but I was in a hurry. I just wanted to get it done, so I just put them in there, you know, rinsed, and we've been running each other out of the room. And then had heartburn and just a lot of gastric upset.
It had a musical day.
And we did. Beans truly are the musical fruit.
Yes.
But just a lot of stomach upset, and which could have been lessened or eradicated by properly preparing the beans. And I'm sure that the beans that you buy from the store, the canned ones, I don't think have been given any sort of treatment. They probably just...
Most definitely. I do know, I think there's a brand, Garden of Eden. I'm told that they do properly prepare their beans. I've been told. I can't necessarily attest to that. But even then, you're paying $2 to $3 per can. Whereas if you just, you know, you can this thing and it's full of your own beans that you have actually canned, it's going to cost you 25 cents.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very economical. And this one of my recent videos, I was talking about how, you know, some people say or think, I don't garden, therefore I don't can. But you can can so many store-bought things and save so much money. And it's once you learn how to do it and it becomes second nature, it doesn't really take a lot of time. If you like have a double stack canner, I think you do too, and you fill that thing full, and you basically let the canner do all the work, and then the next thing you know, you've got 14, 16 jars of food sitting on a shelf. And it really wasn't that difficult to do.
It's super simple, and it is, we can both attest, like we literally had pressure canners in our possession for years before we actually went and used them.
Yeah.
But eventually we did.
Yeah.
You know, eventually we did. We found, honest, for me, I just found YouTubers who helped me through it. I didn't know anybody in my personal life who used it. And I think that's probably also part of why I ended up going the YouTube route, was because it's like I almost felt like this kinship with people on YouTube. It's like these normal people who are like being my big sister and bringing me through it and sharing with me how to actually do it. And you were one of them. And then there was obviously, you know, like, well, I mean, after I started, you were one who helped me to continue with it. And then, but like, the Needy Homesteader was like a big one for me. I watched her videos, like I obsessed over her videos. Like it was hilarious because she was always so talking about how she was, you know, feeling like she shouldn't chit chat so much. And I was like, girl, chit chat. I will listen to you read the dictionary. Chit chat. Okay, I love it. Yeah. And then I think there was just, you know, trolls and stuff on there, but like I really enjoyed it. It was how I learned. And it was like some people are into the chit chat, some people aren't. My husband is not. He's just like, just get to the point. Just get to the point. And I was like, then she's not for you. Okay, go watch this other person will teach you how to can in 3 minutes. But that's not her, and that's not me. That's not you. We like to talk. Yeah. For me, like I like I always say in the beginning, I'm sharing my journey of learning how to turn my home into a homestead. And that's what what I've done. I don't come at it as an expert. I know a lot more than when I first started. Yeah. But it's like I like to share the things that I'm learning, and sometimes that bothers people. And they're like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I was like, "No, I don't." That's why I say it in the beginning of every single video. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sharing how I'm learning. And the reason I decided to do that instead of like learning everything and then sharing it is because you can share so many of the pitfalls and so many of the things that like somebody who's experienced and been doing this for 20 years, they're not going to remember the little tiny details of things that they struggled with and things that like nobody shares because it's so basic. But it's like, sometimes it's not, you know, sometimes you can save yourself an entire canner load of something because you made this tiny little mistake. And, you know, everybody does it, but it's like, if I'm sharing, oh, make sure you do this or that's going to happen. You know, make sure that you double check the times when you're canning, because even if you've canned it 13 different times, you still might remember something different. Like I one time canned fig jam and I did not double check the timing on it. I had to throw the whole can load away. Oh no. It sucked. It sucked, but I did because I mean I canned, but it was like half the time. And it was like one of the recipe that I was using had told me to use that time. So I did it correctly, but I didn't do my homework and make sure, oh no, figs need to be canned for this period of time. And so it was just. So
they were under processed.
They were under processing.
Yeah. I will say that it's, when it comes to canning, you are much better off to process over than you are under. So yeah, that's definitely a good tip.
Oftentimes, like when the timer goes off, I don't run to the thing to shut it off unless it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I'm just like, go to bed. Not really, you know, you have to wait for it to cool off and everything. But you know, like I'm ready to go. And so, but if it takes me a couple minutes to get to it, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not far, obviously, because I'm canning. But, you know, I'm not going to stress it. I'm not gonna stop editing whatever I'm doing or whatever, you know. But
yeah, that's one thing is, you know, when I first started canning, pressure canning, I would not leave the kitchen. I would be there the entire processing time. But now, if I sit in the living room, because I can hear the jiggler, and so I'm good. I will still get up periodically and go look, but I just, you know, and it's kind of like after you've had a baby, like you can hear your baby breathing in the background. Yeah. You just know it's fine. Yeah. And it's like, but you know, if your canner starts breathing weird, you need to go check on it. We talked about canning beans. Another thing that I know that we both like to can is protein. Absolutely. And again, a great money saver in the kitchen, and you can control the sodium. You can control any of the additives. But if you go to Walmart and you buy a can of chicken, you're going to spend at least $4 on like what, a quarter of a pound? Yeah. And then, but if you do it yourself, like I just bought boneless, skinless chicken breasts for $2.69. I've bought it as low as 89 cents a few years ago. I bought it in bulk in a 40-pound box. It was like 89 cents a pound. Yeah. And not only do you save a bunch of money, you save so much time. Yeah. So much time. We were talking about how canning is like the homesteader's fast food. It is. You know, I know a lot of people that like to do freezer cooking, but the thing with freezer cooking is it seems like it takes a lot more time, and you're still reliant on electricity, and freezer space. And I'm not knocking it. I would love to have some frozen lasagnas and meatloaf in the freezer ready to go.
That is something I want to tackle at some point.
Yeah, I definitely want to do it, and I think it has its place. But with canning, you have that long-term storage, and you can still make super quick meals.
Yeah.
So
the thing that I like about like the freezer meals versus like having it on the shelf is that like there's ways that you can kind of tweak most recipes and have it be shelf stable and something that you can, and then you can kind of add a few things to it, you know. But the nice thing about the freezer meals also is that you can do complete meals. Like you can do a whole lasagna, and you just pop it in the oven, and it's going to be ready to go when you're done, you know. Whereas like if you were to can, you could can like something like the sauce and things, and then just create something out of it. But you can also can full meals like chili.
Right. Yeah, and that was one thing that we were talking about before we started is, you know, we know people that are ingredient canners. You won't find any soups necessarily on their shelf, but you'll find all of the ingredients for soup.
And I used to be like that, and I still do can ingredients. But after a while, and a lot of people, I'm watching videos of people who are like, I love to be an ingredient canner because I can just take this, that, the other thing, and throw it all in there. And then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I just got dollar signs in my eyes. I'm just like, that is a lot of lids.
Yes.
And especially because it's just me and my husband. My son lives with us, but he eats his own thing and does his own thing. But like when you are, you know, you're opening, you want to make some stew. You open a can of potatoes, you open a can of carrots, you open a can of beef, you open a can of broth, you know, like that's $1 worth of lids there.
Right.
Nowadays is like $1.50 worth of lids. And it's like, whereas if it's just my husband and I can a quart of beef stew, that's one lid.
Yes.
And it's one meal. And when I can that canner load full, that's 14 meals. Really.
Yes.
28 meals, because you know it would serve 2 of us for the quarts.
Right.
And so if you're just kind of, you have to calculate the cost of the lids in there, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily do that. And you know, if you're already going to be opening up a ton, like if you have a huge family and you're already going to be opening up that number of lids, that's fine. But there's a difference between, like, for example, the way that you can versus the way that I would can, because you're canning for 4 people. You have a family, and you do get-togethers, and you do other events and things like that. Whereas for me, it's literally just my husband and I. You know, that's it. Yeah. And so I like to can a lot of like, I'll can just the, you know, the quart size or the pint size jars of just chili or you know, taco soup or you know, whatever it may be, and then we can literally just pop the top, dump it in, you know, my husband might throw a little cheese on there or something, and then you're good to go, instead of having to combine all these different jars with all of these different price tags on it. And it's just like
So yeah, I see price tags, and I also see standing at the sink washing jars. And I'm not about that life.
It takes a while sometimes, especially with the protein.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you get all that residue in there. You got to scrub it out. But yeah, it definitely is something to consider. Your lifestyle, who's in your house. But yeah, I have canned soups, and then I've also canned ingredients. And I'm at home all the time, but I also work from home, so you know I have to be wise with my time. And I've gotten now, I would just much rather pop 1 jar and dinner be ready in 10 minutes.
Yep.
So yeah, I really like that. We went camping, and I took a quart of potatoes, and I took a pint of roast, and I took some barbecue sauce and some cheese and bacon, and we had fried potatoes with barbecue.
Nice.
And it was really, really good. It was really good.
It's so convenient. It's so easy.
It travels well.
Yeah. And if you pack lunches for people, it's great because it's literally like you don't even have to do anything. They don't have to refrigerate it ahead of time. You know, if they have access to something, they can heat it up. That opens you up to a new possibility of some other things that you can do. But you know, most people, like, you can just pop the jar, pop the lid, and just eat it, you know, and you don't have to heat it up. You know, a lot of things you do have to heat up. I should say you don't have to keep it cold. Right. You don't have to be concerned about any of that kind of stuff. Like my husband, he used to work at a place where he did have access to a kitchen, but he could just grab a couple jars. He had his little work pot, and he would take it to work with him, and he would just put it on the stove, warm it up when he was ready, and then he would have lunch, and he didn't have to be concerned with food spoiling or how to keep it cold or anything like that, and you can just warm it up. So what are some things that you like to do with your food to kind of improve the health of it?
That's a good question. Well, I think being able to preserve food, whether it's from your garden or from the grocery store, I like that I have control of how much sugar goes into it. And salt. And it's so dumb when you go to the store and you pick up a can of beans. And it's like, there was one time I picked up a can of kidney beans. It was beans, water, and sugar. Why? I just want beans. I want protein.
The thing for me is the excess and unneeded ingredients that they add to things, especially when you're trying to do like canning, canned jars and things like that, and they're trying to extend the shelf life of it. Some of the stuff that they put in there is insane. Or the prepackaged, the boxed foods or the packets of foods, they adding in all of these thickening agents, emulsifiers, dressings. Oh, heaven forbid those dressings. Read the ingredient label on some of those dressings. Not all. You kind of have to surf through the ingredients, but it's like, if you have these items at home, if you have like some balsamic dressing and some oil and a few basic ingredients, if you have some eggs or whatever it may be, and you can really improve the health of that food, you still have it there. It's still mostly shelf stable, and you can just assemble it yourself. Or if you're canning it, then you don't have to add that polysorbate number 80. Like what?
Yeah. So question:
Yes.
Is there anything that you have started canning that you now no longer buy processed from the store?
Chicken.
Yeah, I don't buy.
We raise our own too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like you could even go the next level and raise your own chickens and do it. You know, like there's such a level, and I think a lot of people, and there are some people in the community who kind of portray that, but you have to understand it's not all or nothing.
Yes.
You don't have to move out into some off-grid homestead and raise everything from scratch. It's like, no, like you can go to the store and buy the chicken and make it yourself. You can move onto an acre property and raise your own chickens and have eggs. You can move on to a 5-acre homestead and have goats and have your own milk. There is an entire range of things that you can do, and every little step improves your self-reliance, your self-sustainability, and your health.
Yes.
And it's like, just because you're only improving your health this much doesn't mean it's not worth it.
Right.
Because, maybe next time you can improve it this much, and then this much, and then maybe you'll go back to this much.
Yeah.
And then this much, and then this much, and then this much. It's like...
Well, like something simple like a pot of herbs. Somebody would look at a pot of herbs and go, oh, wow, big whoop, you grew basil in a pot, and it's like one plant. Okay, but first of all, you are going to improve the taste of your food, and if you look at the medicinal properties, the health benefits of basil, you're getting more than just extra flavor. You're actually getting something that's improving the quality of your food, the health benefits of your food. So it's like, it's amazing how like you can put little into it and get so much more than you can actually see with your eye. So yeah, it's like, don't discount anything that you're trying to do. So we both love Cassandra from Becoming a Farm Girl. I learned about her through Anna, and now I'm like completely addicted. So if you have not seen Cassandra, you have to go check her out. But she grows food on her deck.
Yeah.
They live in a condo or a townhome? A townhome. And she has some green stalks and she has some pots, and she grows a lot of food.
She does.
And but she cans it and she dehydrates it. I mean, she does a lot with that, and it's amazing how much you get from a small space. And what I love about her videos is how she will take one thing that she cans and she'll show you like 10 different things.
That's my favorite thing about her videos.
Yeah, I love it.
For example of her chicken and corn, right? You're canning, say if you're canning quarts, right? You got 14 meal starters.
Yeah.
14 weeknight meals that you can just throw together when you are exhausted and you don't want to do anything, but all of this stuff is already there and ready and cooked for you. You just need to add a couple of little things to it. Or if you're really exhausted, you can just grab that thing that's ready to go, and you didn't stop a Jack in the Box on the way home.
Exactly.
You're saving your health through not consuming those other things because you took the time when you had the time, and you prepared these meals for yourself and for your family. So now when you don't have the time, you don't need the time because you've already spent it. 14 times you saved yourself that, 2 or 3 hours that you spent canning that food, you saved yourself 14 Jack in the Box meals.
Yes. And that, not only is it bad for you, but it is so bad on your budget. Like,
oh gosh.
It's so
even
bad. But yeah, so if you've been waiting for any reason on getting the canner out of the box or purchasing one, we really want to encourage you to do that, because it's a good time to get in on sales, and it's a great way to preserve them. It's a good time to take control of your health. Anytime is a good time to take control of your health. But again, just looking at things that we're seeing happening right now. You go to the store, sometimes they might have ground beef and sometimes they might not. And so if you just have like just your refrigerator and regular freezer, and you don't have the freezer space to save the ground beef, then you can brown it, put it in a jar, pour some hot water over it, throw it in a canner.
Good to go.
75 minutes for pints, 90 minutes for quarts, and then you've got meat.
Yep. And that's one of the really big advantages to cooking this way, is what you were saying with you're buying these things that are on sale now. It's like it's an investment in your future. It's like think about how much food prices have already gone up in the last 2 years versus how much they will go up in the next 2 years.
Right.
And if you're buying this food, even though now it's inflated over what it was 2 years ago, it's going to be even more in 2 more years. So honestly, the return on investment is better than the stock market, is better than your bank account, is better than your IRA. All of this stuff is so much better, because like you can buy this stuff. Sales usually run in 3-month cycles in normal stores. You can save even more money. She's got a lot of videos on how to do that at discount stores, and she's teaching everybody how to do it, including myself, because that is not a skill that I possess yet, but I'm learning from her. It's all health, so it all kind of is all encompassing with saving money, saving your health, saving your time, saving your sanity.
Yes. Yeah, and I like to, I know a lot of busy moms who, I want to feed my family healthy. I just don't have the time. And yeah, I totally get that. It's easier to throw something in the microwave or open a box of something than it is to, chop and boil and roast and do all that. But the benefit of canning is you can do that like all in one day. And then all you gotta do is pop open a lid, heat it up, and a lot of times, like for me, I think a lot of meats taste better, especially like venison, because venison, it can be tough if it's not cooked correctly, but pressure canning
chicken too.
Oh yeah,
it's dry.
It is,
but it's not when you can it.
It's not when you can it, and like chicken salad, chicken pot pie, chicken fettuccine, chicken. Oh gosh, you can make chicken patties.
Yeah.
The possibilities.
You can make chicken crust pizza.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. For me, my favorite thing to make with canned chicken is chicken pot pie. It's so good. I need to try that. It's really, really good. Chicken and rice. I just did a slow cooker chicken and rice. That's something that you can throw together, put it in the crock pot, go to work, come back, dinner's ready.
I would say if you guys are new, and maybe this is one of your first times watching these videos, or maybe you come upon us on different types of videos, maybe you're watching our homesteading videos where we're just kind of showing you guys around, or gardening videos, or whatever it may be, know that we do have a lot of food preservation videos on both of our channels, and there is a wealth of information on YouTube to teach you, and maybe I don't know, but anyways, there's a ton of people out there, and you can find the right people who will teach you in the way that you like to learn, who will slow down and show you all the tiny little details that you need to learn, and you can learn, and you can do this.
Yes.
You absolutely can do this, and you're worth it, and your family is worth it. Absolutely. To take the time to, it's almost like a form of self-care, where like you're saving yourself and your sanity later by learning how to do this stuff now, so that when you're super stressed and you're running your kids around from this activity to that activity to the other activity, which, by the way, stop doing that. But if you do choose to do that sort of thing, you can save yourself some sanity, and to you're worth investing in yourself and your family now to save yourself during those high stress times.
Absolutely.
It's not about SHTF all the time.
No.
Sometimes it's about, like we're a little broke right now. Our pipes burst, and I had to replace the water heater, and we had to use our food budget for it that month. And now, okay, I don't have to stress as much.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all just end of the world doomsday stuff. Like whatever people say, I mean, that's probably more reality now than it would ever be before. But it's also about saving yourself after that soccer game, and you don't know what the heck you're going to cook for dinner.
Right. Yeah. And we recently, I had a job transition, and you know, so there were some weeks there where I wasn't bringing in as much money, and we have had to eat out of the pantry. And I'm thankful that we had it. And now I'm back to where I could start building it back up again, especially after the garden has come in, and you know, our budget, we've been able to increase it a little bit. And so, but it really, really helped. It helped because we had to trim our grocery budget. And so where I didn't have those extra funds, we could supplement from the pantry. And that was really, really a blessing. So it's another form of insurance.
Yep.
You know, you have insurance in case you wreck your car, in case you get sick, in case you're, well, I wouldn't say basement wall because I'm sure it doesn't cover that now. But in case your house were to burn down, you know, we have all of these different forms of a way to take care of things if something were to happen. Your pantry is exactly the same.
And this is probably something you're going to use more than any other form of insurance.
Absolutely.
Like, when's the last time you used your car insurance? Never.
Yeah.
You know, like, when's the last time you used your home insurance? Never. But, you know, especially for us, like, currently in this exact moment, we're pulling from our pantry every day because, you know, we just moved to Missouri. We're, you know, in transition periods, and we don't have money to go and spend on a bunch of food. You know, like we buy some fresh foods, and that's it. Everything else comes out of the pantry.
Right.
So, and we're also gleaning. Like I was able to come across an incredible amount of apples and pears and stuff like that for free.
Yeah.
You know, grown in somebody's field that was never sprayed. So I got this whole pantry filled with like organic fruit, and I can do all different kinds of things with it. And those videos are coming, just so you know, if you haven't already started to see them yet.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it was such a blessing. You know, and you can come across all this food that somebody's like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I have all this extra food, you know, and you can be like, I'll take it, and just figure out how to preserve it.
Yeah. Okay, one more question. What is your absolute favorite thing to can?
Meat.
Same.
Meat. Is the best way to save money.
Yep.
And it's the best way to save time.
Yep.
That's the thing for me. It's the best way to save time because like you don't, most of the meat that I ugly can everything.
Same.
Like I rarely par cook it. Ground beef would be the exception.
Same.
But like usually I'm just putting meat in a jar and canning it. So it cooks in the process. It makes it super tender. It's juicy. It's, you know, it's just, it falls apart. You know, like you don't have to long cook this stew meat. It's like you put it in there and it's just like, oh, it's so good.
And what's awesome about it too is if you do the raw pack, you get a twofer because it creates its own broth.
Yes.
And all you got to do, add a little bit of arrowroot flour, some sort of slurry, and then now you've got gravy and meat.
Yep.
So like I love pork loin. And then you can make a pork gravy, and you put that over some stewed cabbage. Oh, y'all!
Oh my gosh!
I can't even with the salivating right now.
Right.
But yeah, I would say the same thing. It's a great way to save money. Super little prep time. I think that's one of the things that does irk me about some canning projects is there's a lot of prep.
Yep. And
you know, and then you get a lot of dishes and stuff. But you know, but I have learned ways around that, which could be another video, ways to save time when processing. But I have learned that you can do some things in steps.
Yep.
So like with potatoes, again, wash them, peel them, and chop them day one.
Yep.
And before you go to bed, put them in the refrigerator, put your jars in the dishwasher. Day two, all you got to do is fill your jars, add your water, put them in the canner. All right, guys, thank you so much.
What was that?
I just splashed coffee on my pants.
You don't even have hardly any coffee in
I
there.
know.
How'd you do that?
I don't know, but it kind of feels like I peed on myself. Woo, that was
You
a
better
shot.
not edit this out.
Okay. All right. thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. I will have all of Anna's information linked down below. So if you are not already following her, which if you're not, why? But be sure to head on up there and check her out. She's got so much fantastic information. I was telling her earlier that I'm just amazed how she's like an encyclopedia when it comes to like nutrition and things like that. And it's all stuff that she has learned on her own in her own health journey. So be sure to check out all of those links, and I will also throw some in the iCards. But until next time, remember to be vigilant, be prayerful, and be prepared. God bless you all, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.